Didn't you also say he could, quote, disappear me? Is that something that you said?
Should I respond now? I believe what I actually said was, you have to be really high to piss off a professional operator, because a professional operator can both physically disappear you off the face of the planet and digitally disappear you and make things just come and go at will. I mean, considering
So
that
this
you
is a
spent,
threat.
the last 10 hours
This is a
calling him
threat.
a
This is a threat. Like, don't
no,
piss
no, I'm
Beau off,
saying
or
no,
else
I'm
he'll
saying
get ya.
nobody in their right mind would fucking piss off a professional operator who you literally just spent the last 12 hours calling a human trafficker, i.e., somebody who can make people disappear from one place and appear in another.
Wait, so he isn't a human trafficker, or I should be scared? Which one is it? I'm confused.
I know you're confused. It's part of your charm.
Hello.
Hi, Mike.
How are you?
Doing well. How's your big bread tube debut going?
Well, it wasn't really intended to be any kind of bread tube debut. I just found something that I found really shocking and disgusting, and then like I looked really hard into seeing what Beau's response was to this, and the more I looked into it, the angrier I got was the obfuscation about it. And a lot of people, have been overreacting and attacking me as opposed to looking at the evidence. So what did you think? I want your honest opinion.
I think of your entire video, the 32-minute mark, Lions of Liberty podcast part, if that is indeed him speaking about this event, because keep in mind, he's done contract work for a number of different things. He could be referencing something else here. But if that is him referencing...
Well, no, I mean, he linked it in time with him getting on the side of the State Department, right? He pissed the State Department off, and then they kicked in his door, and then he served time.
But in this podcast, he's referencing, he's like, I've done a number of contract jobs, and then he says 3 different types of contract work that he's done, and then
no, he says, he just describes them. He's not saying he never worked for the government. He says that in other content.
Yeah, that's not what I'm just reading. Can I play it? Because I wanna be able to. Yeah, okay, all right. I'm gonna play it on the stream. So maybe play the stream's volume for a second.
Health. My guest today is the editor and founder of... We'll discuss what you're doing with the Fifth Column in a moment, but first I want to get my listeners to know you a little bit better. So tell us a bit about yourself. I know you come from a background as a military contractor, so how did you get from there to where you are now, running this really amazing, if I do say so myself, news and commentary site?
Well, I was a military contractor for about 8 years. I did mostly non-governmental work. And at one point, we angered the federal government, and I got my door kicked in. And I kind of realized at that point that I might have better uses for my skills. And that brought me to journalism, because I could shoot a gun and I could shoot a camera. So I started with Digital Journal, which is a small Canadian outlet. I moved to the Anti-Media, and then the Fifth Column.
Wow, let's just take a step back for a second. So can you tell us a little bit more about, I mean, I don't know how much you can detail, maybe legally, but what went on there with that whole incident there with getting your door kicked in? Was that because of something the company you were working for had done? Or was that something that you were under investigation for? Can you detail that a little bit more?
Well, basically, I worked for a company that did refugee recovery. We got refugees out of bad countries, whether it be Eastern Europe, Central Asia, wherever. We started working in Uzbekistan, and this much is my personal theory. Uzbekistan was a U.S. ally at the time. They were also really, really, really evil to Jewish people. We were getting them out, and we were visited by State Department, and they told us to stop. And I don't know if you've ever met any military contractors, but when you say something like that to them, especially when they've already been paid, you're likely to get, the middle finger, which is what happened. And they showed us. A few weeks later, we all had our doors kicked in and all got arrested.
Wow. So
okay, Mike, you still there?
Yeah, is that not a lie? Or
yeah, no, yeah, you're right.
Blatant lie?
Yeah, no, that's very clear. That's very, very clear.
So he's a blatant liar, and so.
Well, no. Okay, first off, let's slow down. We got to do this.
Okay,
this was in 2016. So yes, he's a blatant liar in 2016 in this clip, right? I'm gonna go through the video and the points with you. I think that to me is probably the thing that Beau has to address, right? In terms of,
got to address a lot of things, I think.
Well, to what degree? Like, it's not like, is it the fact that he has just revealed this for the first time, that this like you just learned about this for the first time? Like, it's the first I've learned about it. Obviously, it's shocking.
Well, you're covering it responsibly because you found something that is like really bad, and he's being promoted as like the de-radicalizer. And don't you think it is kind of like counterproductive for the left if like the right were to find this out, if you know, and attack us, that basically you guys want immigration reform because you're all a bunch of human traffickers, and then one of the people we're advancing is an actual, you know, human smuggler that exploited people's labor. Like this seems to be very damaging to the left. And like, honestly, I don't understand why everyone wants to move to redemption before the guy has even said he's sorry. He spun a narrative that he was doing the right thing. So everybody wants to say he's redeemed, but he's lying about what he did and pretending like he was a good guy.
Well, he's
ridiculous.
Right. Again, he's lying in 2016, right? If I was to ask him today, what are your thoughts on this? Like, I'm not saying that Beau shouldn't at some point or should make a statement. I think he should make a statement on this.
Well, I mean, his friend Justin, or one of his anarchist friends, said that, first of all, he made threats against me personally. And then he said that, you know, he brought these people in that were refugees, and that's not what happened. They were temporary workers. They were brought here. They were paid less than federal minimum wage.
What his friend said doesn't really mean anything to me. Like this.
Well, I mean, in you know, this is the context of the conversation that we're in, right?
I know, but we're getting into hearsay, right? Like I would need to hear Beau say, like, today, yeah, actually, what I was doing or what I was.
He said his doors. What didn't he? Okay, so in 2016, he said that his doors got busted in for something that's not why they got busted in, right? You would agree with that?
I would agree in that clip. Yeah, absolutely.
And that you would also agree that there are no videos where he actually makes any clarifications on this. His 100,000 subscriber video, which is the very beginning of my video, he discusses how he was not a human trafficker. That's ridiculous, but I am a human smuggler.
He said I was smuggling aliens, and I was charged with, which is what happened, though. No, that's what he was charged with.
Absolutely. But he pretends like him being a human trafficker was ridiculous. And if you remember what I said from the evidence, I know it's a long video, so there is a few things to remember. But one of them was the federal prosecutor said they could have charged him. They could have charged him.
Mike, you're already getting condescending. Now we're going to get antagonistic. Now we're going to start yelling at each other, and this is going to be a meme factory. I already see it. I can already feel it. It's boiling in my veins. I'm like, fuck, this is going to be bad.
I'm sorry if you think I'm being condescending. I'm sorry if I was condescending. I was just saying, I'm just trying to maintain my own blood pressure because, like, defending this is pretty unforgivable to me. Like,
defending this action, sure. I don't think but I don't think anyone's on the other side of that argument. Have
you been reading the same chat that I am?
What? The chat here, my chat? My chat has been saying, absolutely. Like, someone, what is this, like 12 years ago, did a horrible thing, literally served time for it, went to prison for it, and is now come out and is now a public figure and tries to, like, in his own right, make the world a better place. That's kind of what people are saying in chat. Like, that's the thing, right? Do you not agree with that as a principle? Like, for you,
there's like three narratives. There's three narratives that are being pushed. The first is what he did was good, actually. He was helping refugees, which is not true from what we know. The second is that he has apologized and he's reformed. He's never apologized that I can see publicly unless somebody has it. And the third is like, well, if we do a utilitarian calculus, the exploited women versus like the people being de-radicalized on net, he's doing good, so therefore shut the fuck up about it, let him do the good. Those seem to be the three arguments, right? Would you say that's fair?
That people are making? Sure. I mean...
So all of those are pretty gross, right? Or do you agree with some of those?
I don't. I think the vast majority of people who are saying, though, that if someone did something 12 years ago, literally went to prison for it, and then now does other stuff... Like, do we need to keep bringing that up and hold them accountable for that? To me, sometimes that feels like would you? Okay, so I call out Jimmy Dore all the time. Here's my example.
Wait 1 second. Can we say 1 second? Like, this is like moving the goalpost, right?
In what way?
Wouldn't you agree that, like, we're not talking about Beau anymore? We're talking about a hypothetical person.
Okay, true, but
before we engage with the hypothetical, I just want you to acknowledge that Beau has not apologized, has not shown contrition, has not done anything that we publicly know to do restorative justice on this point. So this is not applying to him. Then let's talk about restorative justice.
Sure.
Is that fair?
Sure. Can I also bring this up though? Are we debating? Because if that's how we're going to engage in this,
No, we're
this
not
is going to be a
debating.
very
We're
different
not
conversation, right?
No, I don't think we're
so that's
debating.
why.
Wait.
Well, no, hold on. That's why the idea of me like moving a goalpost doesn't really apply. I'm trying to have a conversation with you in which I'm like,
oh, fair,
Mike.
Okay.
Here's how I would relate to this. But hey, if we're debating, this will be a different thing. You know, this is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. We want to ask your question. I mean, fine. I don't think we're debating. I mean, unless you want to debate, unless you decide that Beau is in the right, and then we can debate.
I'm avoiding looking at chat because I know every single one of them is like blood. Oh my god, what's about to happen?
I don't think we're fighting. Are we fighting? Am I being emotionally unintelligent here? Are we fighting?
I didn't think so either. Hey,
no, I don't think we're fighting.
I
think you're doing the right thing. I think you're doing the right thing. Obviously, I brought this evidence forward, so I have conviction in it, and you're trying to be fair to Beau and fair to me. I appreciate that. I think that's fair. I think that's a good thing to do.
Okay.
No problem.
Well, then thank you for acknowledging that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I would say if I was doing the same thing and I was like, I'm going to make a video tomorrow about, say, Jimmy Dore. And my thesis for the video was 12 years ago or 15, I don't know when we made it. Jimmy Dore has an incredibly transphobic stand-up routine. And it's disgusting. And everyone should be disgusted by it. That to me feels a bit like the same thing, right? As this one, like Beau of the Fifth Column did something that I agree with you is reprehensible. Like I don't think anyone defends.
I think it's a little bit beyond that. You know, like hundreds of women exploited for profit. That's more than just like wearing blackface in 2000. You know, that's more than an N-word joke. That's more than saying the F slur when you were 18 in 2002. It is.
Okay, so that's so then if I characterize this, you put this to such a high degree.
This is like an extreme. This is like a crime against humanity kind of level of badness.
Okay, well then I'll go through the points you raised. You know how you said that, or you brought up to me that if the right or the right wingers get hold of this, it could be damaging. For example, the same thing could be said about this if everything here isn't like rock solid. Like everything you're accusing him of, everything you're alleging in this is for like the thing that really stood out for me as a problem is saying that he accrued millions of dollars when you don't know that.
They, as the criminal conspiracy, accrued millions.
They did, but you said,
and he
you can go through the video.
Liable, and yeah, no, and I'll just repeat it here. He was personally liable to pay $1 million.
That doesn't change the fact about whether or not he was accruing that money. Do you know like could he have been a contract worker making $2,000 a month, for example?
So here's okay. So these are just hypotheticals that we don't know the answer to because again, we don't have access to the complete court records. What we do know is that he got the longest prison sentence. He was personally fingered. He personally was profited, and he was found liable personally to pay $1 million with the rest of the co-conspirators, and he got the longest sentence. So that's what we know. And anything else beyond that is, you know, if I said that he owned the company, then that I don't know that I have that was a misspeaking on my part, making a video quickly, and I can put a correction in the video if someone can timestamp me that.
Well, you say repeatedly that he stood to make and/or made millions of dollars through this process.
He absolutely did.
But you have no evidence of that. Whether or not the company itself, which he did not own, like that part's not true. He didn't own the company. He was hired as a contractor by that company. He was jointly and separately
liable for the money, and he was charged. They originally wanted $3.2 million, and he was found to owe $1 million. So, I mean, okay, you're saying that he just got paid a salary, but that you don't have any evidence for that, right? So,
well, neither of us do. But I'm also not making a video about it. Is the difference?
I mean, okay, fair enough. I mean, again, I'll happily correct anything that is incorrect when we get evidence. If I misspoke, I'll be happy to correct. I don't want to make anything that is incorrect, but I appreciate you going through and helping me sharpen the argument.
Here's the other point.
Beau wants to. Actually, I think they do. You know, now that I think about it, I think they do talk about him starting a second company. When his first company was denied for the fraudulent visas, he actually originally wanted to do 1,200 people, but 1,000 of those were rejected, and he was put on a blacklist from the State Department for doing the fraudulent visa applications. So I don't know if he owned it himself or not. See, that we'd have to go and look. I would encourage Beau to make a video outlining exactly what happened, so that we can make sure we don't put any misinformation out there. I think that's important.
The other thing being that according to the court documents themselves, though, Beau, I think, is the only person who doesn't testify against the immigrants themselves and doesn't put them in jail, or sorry, doesn't put them or doesn't compromise their status as a result of that.
Wait, Beau is the only one who doesn't testify against the immigrants?
Yeah,
Beau was the target
he was the target
of the investigation, so
so
he
you
was
said
not
that he
testifying.
so Beau,
He's the one.
so here's
He was
just
the target, so he doesn't testify because his lawyer was trying to keep him out of federal prison.
so Beau being someone who was subcontracted by this company that
That's
did this.
just your assessment. That's not a,
Okay,
that's
sure.
not a known fact.
This company then is the company that is under the target of an investigation, of which yes, Beau is a part of. I'm not forgiving anything that Beau did.
No, he was the
serves-
primary target.
He serves, correct, he serves the most time of any of them, despite not being the owner of the company and despite being an employee, a contracted employee of the company.
Do
when
you
the
know
other-
that? Where are
that's-
you getting that?
That's okay. Well, I'll show you some stuff offline in terms of these documents, but like because like we're live right now in front of thousands of human beings, right, on the record. If
Sure.
Okay, why don't I propose it like this? If you discovered that Beau had not gotten as severe a sentence as the rest of them because he did not want to give up or endanger the immigrants that were in the program itself, whereas the other people were fine flipping on that, and that was the reason that he got the most severe sentence of all of them. If that turned out to be the case, would it affect?
I would call that okay. First of all, I would call him a liar.
And if there was
That's what I would say.
and if there was documents that showed that he was like a fall guy in this, so to speak.
What do you mean he was a fall guy?
Well, that would be the definition of a fall guy. You're someone who was hired as a contract worker while you, the company, are doing some really shady shit. And then when the company gets under investigation, you're the guy they wanted to have fall down. You're the one that they want to take out, right?
So what's the theory for why he was the fall guy?
Well, that's exactly what I'm proposing to you. First off, I'm asking if that was the case, would it change your opinion on this subject?
Well, first of all, I don't believe it because typically in these type of situations, the immigrants are given immunity to participate in the proceedings. And that is how the prosecutors advance them, because immigrants that realize they come forward to prosecutors would be deported would obviously be disincentivized from doing this. So victims of trafficking, victims of domestic violence are given immunity and oftentimes given legal status in exchange for testimony against criminal actors. So the idea that he was prosecuted and they had these people come out and testify against him for him exploiting them, and the reason he served the longest was because he didn't want to flip on them, is an absurd, like it's far-fetched. And I think he's trying to, or whoever this source is trying to roll people who are not familiar with how these proceedings go.
If that turned out to be the case, though, would it change your mind on the whole thing?
I mean,
I don't think it absolves him, but it certainly paints a different picture.
Maybe it would paint a different picture, but that would be amazing because, again, what they were doing until they got caught, which was exploiting hundreds of women.
Right.
Does that not matter?
Of course it does. Oh, dude, you'll find no lack of moral outrage from me. But what's important is that, like, again, if it's something like, if we want to hold this up to the standard that we apply to everything, like there's a lot of people on the left that have done a whole bunch of fucked up shit in their past. Some people used to be members of the alt-right. Some people used to come from families that were like avowed white nationalists, shit like that, right? So there has to be a standard that we set. I know there's no written guideline, there's no book, no template as to what makes a proper forgiveness in this instance, but you are looking to crucify the man in this case, right? Based on this criteria.
I mean, again, this is cancel culture narrative because they don't want to deal with the facts of the case and his behavior since then, which is like, oh, Mike is trying to cancel. I'm not interested in canceling. I'm just flabbergasted that he's been able to get away with mischaracterizing this for so long and still to this day doesn't apologize and shows no remorse. And the fact that he makes YouTube videos makes him like immune from being criticized. Isn't this an extremely dangerous precedent? And I am just flabbergasted by some of the reactions that I see.
Well, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, I think this is something that has to be laid out so clearly in terms of like the facts and everything, especially when you're making accusations of this severity.
Well, it's not me. It's
well, it is.
it's
You made
the
the video, right?
University of Florida. It is the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's the United States of America, and it's Beau. He admitted he's a alien smuggler. So the accusations I'm making are not accusations. They are things that he's confessed to. I just filled in the details from publicly available documents. You're framing them as accusations, but really I'm just elucidating what he's already admitted. Now he's dissembled and lied about it, but these are not accusations. These are proven facts. Do the proven facts
well, some of them don't line up. Like the idea that he enriched himself to the tune of millions of dollars. I haven't seen any evidence of that.
Okay. Well, the evidence is that they were seeking $3.2 million, and then he was found to owe $1 million in restitution.
Correct.
And there's more to it. We could talk about how, like, I didn't want to go into the properties that were returned to him and things like that, because I don't think that's super important for what I'm talking about. And I don't really, this is purely about the economic exploitation and trafficking, and trying to pretend like you are a good guy. And then, like, you don't become a good guy because after you traffic people for years, you suddenly say, well, I took a longer sentence to not turn people in. That's that's ridiculous. But he should make a video instead of insinuating it behind closed doors to people. He should make a video and talk about what happened. That's what I would suggest.
But then, like, that just kind of seems like the whole thing is to be a perpetual drama farm, right? Like, if what is ultimately important is getting to the root of this problem, then it doesn't have to be like you made a video and then he makes a video at you and then you make one back at him and then
no. Okay, why are you framing it like content creator 24/7? This is an example of something he did, and you're raising all sorts of possibilities, and good, but I would like to see some sort of like evidence for the stuff that's being asserted here. I put my evidence forward. You said there's some things that are not as well supported as I think. I'd be willing to walk back things if I went too far in a couple places. But I think that every assertion I made is supported by the evidence. And there's pretty, like, this is pretty ticky-tack type shit compared to 200 plus people being trafficked.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't think anyone is apologizing for, though. Well, yeah, but I don't think anyone's apologizing for that. I don't think anyone's trying to do like apologia for Beau's actions.
For example, let me just ask you this: $27 says, "Remember when Mike was racist?" What is that?
What does that have to do with our conversation right now?
Why is that happening in your chat? What is that?
$27. You'd have to talk to $27. He's a big content creator on Twitch. Like, if you have an independent beef outside of my conversation.
No, I just want to know why. Wait, if someone said Lance is racist in my chat, I would be pissed off about that.
If someone said Lance is racist in your chat, you'd be pissed off. Wouldn't you be like, don't you have to go talk to Lance about that or something?
Okay. Okay, never mind. I didn't mean to distract. I didn't distract. I made it about myself. He succeeded in trolling me. Sorry.
Do you and $27 have a beef as well? I don't know what's going on.
No, I don't. It doesn't matter to me. Other than just, accusing me of being racist randomly. What do you propose we do? Well, what do you think is the right? I want to ask you this, Lance, because people are asking me, like, what should we do, Mike? And I don't have all the answers for, like, I don't have a program.
Do you think that someone like who actively hates you, let's say there's a community, a large scale community that actively hates you, if they go through this now with a fine tooth comb on the video you've just made, are they going to pull up a whole bunch of shit where they're like, holy fuck, this, like, are they going to tear this entire thing apart? Is that
I want them to, if they can find it, tear it apart. Show me that Beau's a good guy.
Well, no, but not just to defend Beau, but won't that also be damaging to the left? Like, won't that also make it look as if this infighting is like a petty squabble more than it is actually about getting to the root of the cause?
That question is, wait, so your question is, the hypothetical is that a community that hates me finds reasons to believe that some of the facts presented by the Southern Poverty Law Center and the University of Florida and the witnesses' testimony, which is the documents I used, would damage the left? Why doesn't that damage the Southern Poverty Law Center or University of Florida?
You're kind of obfuscating. You're obfuscating my point. Though.
I'm not obfuscating. I'm asking a question.
Right, but you're front loading the answer, right? You're saying if they want to go after credible sources, that's on them. How does that affect anything? But it's your interpretation of those sources that matters. That's obviously what would be on trial there.
Okay, so it would hurt the left because they found reasons to think it was wrong. Okay, I don't agree, but I would correct the video. I would correct the information. As new information comes to light, I will correct it if there's any problems.
Fair enough. This is wild. You've done a nuclear drop on the Twitch
Is this
platform.
Nuclear? I mean, is it nuclear? I legit like. Would you have? So you wouldn't have made a video about this?
Oh, I certainly would. I was when you first told me about this, I was like, "What the fuck is he talking about?" Then when I saw the LA Times article, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to talk about this." I was going to read the LA Times article in full. I was going to go through the case itself. I was going to talk about. I'm sure you've gone to Justin King's Snitch Blogspot to see all the like cross collaborations and stuff they've talked about. You didn't bring up the moonshot CVE aspect of the story, which is also, in my opinion,
oh yeah, because it wasn't relevant. Because it wasn't. I wanted to make it tight about just he did this and he's lying about it. I didn't want to do a whole Beau. This is not an attack on Beau. Like I could have gone all sorts on like his ANCAP statements, the fact that he was pushed by Google. I could have gone and talked about how like in 2018 he said vote none of the above and wrote a whole blog post about how voting is showing consent to the system and all sorts of other like weird crank shit. And I could have like said, wow, this is really damaging to the left if this were to come to light. Now this guy's like a Biden supporter with an American flag banner in his YouTube channel. And like 2 years ago, he was saying like, fuck, like don't vote. Yeah, I mean, I could have done that, but I feel like it would have distracted from the point, which is like this guy lies about, or at least all the videos, all the evidence I could find, he lies about it or dissembles or pretends like he was a good guy. And if like, I don't know, if trafficking hundreds of people or, smuggling hundreds of people to exploit them, to pay them less than minimum wage is like not a deal breaker for people, well, that's on them, I don't know. Deal breaker for me.
So that's got to be the main point in all this then, that what he has done is so far. No, I'm not. That's not an attack. I'm saying what he has done is so far beyond the pale in your eyes that he is either beyond redemption and or has to address it directly.
Redemption for what? Can I ask you, is there anything that for you that's beyond the pale?
Well, of course. I mean, I don't want to go through a whole bunch of like gross things.
Like,
but, I wouldn't redeem Pol Pot. I think he's beyond the pale. There's
yeah, he's not Pol Pot. He didn't kill everybody wearing glasses.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I mean, again, I don't know. Are we on the redemption part of the equation yet? Just because of like the dishonesty.
Well, the equation I think most people would think is that he actually went to jail for this, right? Like it's not as if he hasn't been punished for this crime, and then it's whether or not.
I don't care about the punishment. That's not what I don't think retribution is what solves this. I'm not talking about punishment. But I don't think that if because a legal system makes a determination that someone is then like being punished and therefore they're now good. That's not justice, because there's lots of times where people aren't punished. Jeff Bezos is doing stuff that's perfectly legal, but I find it despicable, and we organize against those behaviors every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that has nothing to do with the legal determination. What I was focused on was what he did to those women, economically exploiting them for profit and then sending them back. And he did so in a clear and unambiguous way because he paid them less than the federal minimum wage. Which this is not my like lefty liberal point of view about what a fair wage should be. This is the federal minimum wage that's in the law that everyone agrees to. And he went and paid less than that. And these women, and then there's all the other things about that were in the University of Florida example. So to me, it's not about the legal system. I don't give a fuck about him being a felon or not. It has to do with this is just part of uncovering the larger behavior of exploiting people for profit. And doing so in a way that is like of an extremely vulnerable and marginalized group.
So there's nothing he can do to redeem himself.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I mean, but like the thing that's frustrating is like why would you care what I believe should redeem him?
Because you're the one making the proposal. You're the one, and you made it very clear at the start of your video, right? I mean, it's kind of like the entire starting speech is how this is not about cancel culture. I'm not trying to say anything
it's not
like
about
that. Right.
No,
and you've also said, you also just said that this is not a personal attack. So this has to be about, in your opinion, the greater picture, the larger thing. Then what is it you were trying to achieve through this? Because you've said that you want him to make a response video to it, but
I want honesty, transparency, and restitution, and I want him to like be clear about what he did, why it was wrong, and help combat it, because this stuff has not stopped, Lance. Like, putting him in prison didn't stop human smuggling and exploitation in the hotel industry in Florida.
Well, of course, but he's not involved
and
in it right now.
He still lives there. He still lives in the same house.
That would imply that he's still
he
smuggling humans. He's not doing that anymore.
No, that's not what I'm implying. I'm saying that he could be fighting against it. He could be helping support with direct action locally organizations that combat it. He could be funding. He could be saying, like, I need you to support this because I did this. This is part of who I am, and I need to make the world a better place. These are just proposals. I know I've heard that he's donated money to a domestic violence shelter, which is great, but I want to see like real dedication. You know, for me, if you did something like this, I would think it would be the project of your life to try to undo it, right? Is that and I'm not saying he can't make YouTube videos. I'm not saying I would push a button to ban him. I just find it kind of curious that the first thing that happens is we've got to circle the wagons. We've got to attack Mike. We got to say he's cringe, bad faith, whatever. He's clout farming. And if Steven Crowder did this, Lance, would you be, nuanced? Would you be sitting back?
Well, my biggest difference there is Steven Crowder's entire body of work doing something that I think is actively good, which is what I consider most of, Beau's stuff outside of this. I think Beau's channel is a decided good for the world. Steven Crowder's channel is not a decided good for the world.
Okay.
And I think he does a lot of stuff.
So there is a double standard. So you do have a double standard as far as like leftists can get away with a little bit more because, ultimately they're on our team.
No, I'm not saying you can get away with
that's
things.
a principled position. That's a principled position. You can say that leftists are inherently better than right-wingers. That's a thing to believe. I don't happen to agree with you there. I feel like if a leftist...
I'm glad you don't agree with the straw man you created, but...
Well, is that what you just said? Isn't that what you just said?
It's what you said.
What did you say? Say it again.
I haven't even spoke on the subject yet. I genuinely... like Beau's body of work, I do not think was contributing negatively to the world. I think his body of work, and it still is contributing good things to the world. And so if he... You
mean on the videos he makes now?
Yeah. I don't like, do you have a personal problem with his content now? Because that's a separate topic.
I think it is apologetics for the Democratic Party. And pretty milquetoast, not a lot of value. Kind of similar to like the leftist version of a Lincoln Project. It's targeted toward leftists because they want to be validated by a Southern, person with a beard, telling them that we're telling leftists they're right, they don't need to change. And it's kind of like unique. It's he breaks out of the the stereotype, and makes a lot of leftists feel hopeful, and he appeals to them. So because he's not the standard like typical leftist. He has that beard. He's standing in front of camping equipment. He carries a gun. I think it was an airsoft gun, right? In the first couple of videos that are on his channel.
I don't know, but I would agree that he's really good at converting normies because of that aesthetic, right? It's one of it's part of.
I mean, no, I wouldn't agree with that. I mean, maybe that's true. I just haven't seen any proof.
Mm-hmm.
And there's anecdotes. But
do you think that any of what you just said plays into your own narratives towards him? Like, or do you separate that entirely and then you're just like, I have to come at this and make sure that everyone knows and judges him accordingly for the actions of what he did 12 years ago?
Okay. It's not the actions that he did 12 years ago alone, but have you studied restorative justice?
No, not extensively in any way, shape, or form.
I would recommend you do a restorative justice. I know that Left Flank Vets is just a great channel. There's doing something on restorative justice tomorrow. And like for rehabilitation to happen, like the first step is like accountability, acceptance, telling the truth, and remorse, contrition. And I don't see that. And that's why I'm concerned. Not only because of what he quote did 12 years ago, it's his lack of like an effort to be open and honest about it. And frankly, like the video you just played, his response was basically like kind of peak and saying, if there's an attack, it's because you hurt, I don't know who he's specifically talking to. So I don't think he really
I'm not
referenced it,
I'm not gonna defend that as a response video. But what I'm gonna say about that in restorative justice is like, do you apply those same principles to everyone else? That like, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of public figures, there's a lot of content creators who under that definition, right, would not meet the restorative justice like threshold. Then you may be a fan of their work, you may like promote their work, you may talk about them.
Like who do you know? Do you have anyone specific?
That has been involved in a labor trafficking scheme? No, I can't think of one, but I can think of like any number of large content creators who people have said haven't gone far enough. Like look at someone like ContraPoints, for example, right? A lot of people have said ContraPoints has not done enough contrition in their eyes. In regards to how she both had Buck Angel on one of her documentaries, as well as the fact that like she has quotes that are alienating to non-binary individuals as part of the trans experience. So those are two of the criticisms that are levied against ContraPoints.
Are you seriously equating?
No, I'm not. I said there is no equivalent. I started by saying that. I was like, I don't know another person who said that. Right. But I'm saying, but I'm saying to someone like yourself, right? Like, do you apply those same principles to multiple people outside of Beau? Like, is it something that's standardized?
I think that someone like ContraPoints, that you brought her up, like the stuff you're talking about is pretty much like very inside ball leftist like stuff. And it's like doesn't really connect with harms in the world. And so I would like critique her presentation, and I would, maybe I would like or dislike a video, or promote or not promote a video, or subscribe or not subscribe to her channel based on those things. And I think that would be valid. But I personally have judged them not to be so damaging. But this is kind of like a whole nother, it's like apples and oranges, really. That's a whole nother horse, where it's just like part of being a leftist is fighting exploitation and fighting for the oppressed. You would agree with that, right?
Yeah, of course.
So for me, human trafficking or labor exploitation at this level is like antithetical to it, to such a foundational degree, that for someone to then take on the mantle of leftist thought leader as well, not just like generic leftists that's on the street. Like I am on Facebook and my grandparents see their videos. Like for that person to be a thought leader on the left, there has to be contrition that's proportional to the harm caused. And I think not lying and dissembling about what happened would be step one for me.
And you have post 2016 evidence of that, like not in that podcast, the conservative one, where he's continuing that narrative.
I have his, so I think they have that 100 viewer Q&A. He just calls himself an alien smuggler, and then
which he was. He says I was charged. There are people who accuse me of human trafficking.
Well, he said he wasn't a human trafficker, but the evidence is like, according to the Florida bar in the University of Florida report on from the Child Exploitation Center, they said that he fit all the elements of human trafficking, but they decided not to do it. So he says he's not a human trafficker in the legal sense. It's a lawyerly thing to say, like he wasn't convicted of it, but that doesn't mean that he didn't do all the elements according to the definition. And for those of us that are laymen, not in a court of law, you could say that this was labor exploitation. So he's admitted to labor exploitation and human smuggling, right? So for me, I think you would have to be basically his lawyer to say that this is like, well, it's technically not human trafficking. Well, if you actually look at what happened, he did some heinous shit that any fair-minded person, if they called that human trafficking, I think that would be not hyperbole. It would be fair. So maybe you disagree with me, But that kind of answer, that's dissembling. That's obfuscation. He says it's ridiculous, but if you look at the facts, it's not so ridiculous, right?
Did you see that tweet he just tweeted out today that says, my ethics today? No, it was more than a decade ago. The me of today would curb stomp the me of a decade ago for a whole bunch of things.
Okay, I think he's alluding to things, but
just like, is that in a direction that you would want to see? The me of today would curb stomp the me of a decade ago in terms of contrition.
Is that a step that I think that is like patently not sufficient. Do you think it's sufficient?
Well, I'm not the one putting him on trial. Like, to me, I would have to demonstrate, not only had he done the actions to such a degree back then, right, that the punishment didn't even fit the crime, that his time in jail wasn't even comparable, that he was responsible for amassing millions of dollars through the exploitation of the labor of, you know, hundreds of individuals, and then
criminal conspiracy for which he was a part.
Mm-hmm. But to me, all the evidence that I've seen in this case showed that I'm not forgiving at all what he did, but not that he was a mastermind human smuggler of that kind. I think both sides are exaggerating then. If one side is saying that he was helping immigrants and he's a hero for doing that. So you're
both siding it. That's a lie. That's an outright lie. That's not
you haven't even let me finish speaking. But no, when it comes to that, was he actively doing that, or was he the fall guy in this? Did he, in the end, take extra prison sentences, unlike the other three people who were involved in this, because he didn't want to give up and further endanger the lives of immigrants through that process? Was he hired as a
just made up shit, Lance? You're just spreading propaganda. That's made up shit.
I'm not spreading that. I'm saying, does the truth lie somewhere in the middle between those two extremes? No, I asked you, Mike, if this was presented to you, would that change your opinion on any of this? I was like, if it came out and this was the actual what had happened, right? So where does the truth lie?
That the other people in the criminal conspiracy testified against him, as did some of the victims.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we have. The other stuff is just speculation and spin that we don't have any proof of.
So much of what you were doing was speculation. Dude, if you say yes, Mike, if you say he received millions of dollars in this, like, you know, scheme that he was doing, we don't have evidence that he was personally amassing millions of dollars. We don't have evidence that he wasn't a contract worker or being contracted by this company.
Those are just hypotheticals. You're going.
I agree with you. They're your hypotheticals. They're the ones that you presented in this video that I was just watching.
The hypotheticals I presented was that he was a key figure in this human trafficking ring that made millions of dollars, and he was ordered to pay $1 million. And he was sentenced to 41 months in prison for it. And then I talked about what happened in the trafficking ring. And then, like, all this other stuff is like weirdly ticky-tacky, like splitting of hairs, and there's not a reckoning with what he did.
Not a reckoning with what he did. I mean, that's, I think, the part that I see eye to eye with you the most is if he's not going to come forward and either talk about this Lions of Liberty podcast event, if he's going to continue to say that this was like anything other than what it was.
I know why he feels like the fall guy, because he's the one that everyone testified against.
And he's also the only one who didn't provide a testimony against the immigrants in this case, right?
It feels bad to be like, do you have evidence of that? Do you have evidence of like immigrants being deported because of the testimony of these other people? Or is that just something he said to manipulate?
Something you said to manipulate me? No, like I said,
is there facts behind it, or is this just a hypothetical?
Yeah,
where's the facts?
Okay,
well, the evidence.
Okay, well then let's do that then. I'll need to take a reset on all this, because I think you and me are getting really heated, and we have.
I'm not heated. I'm not heated at all. I'm just like kind of disheartened that you're like just not looking at the reality that he did something fucked up, and it's just like I don't think there's gonna be a situation where you got overheated over like people saying the N-word in private, and I think that's terrible, but it's nothing compared to this. And the guy said in 2018, I could send you the document, like, don't vote, you know, like, doesn't matter. If you vote for anyone, even a third party, you are consenting to be governed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's extremely damaging politically. So, I
stand by this. I don't think anyone is going to defend his actions. I think what has to be on trial here is whether you think, and you were saying it, right, whether the restorative justice has been performed, and if it's to your like adequate levels. And if it's not, then that's the judgment that you make as a content creator, right?
Yes,
that's what you put forth into the world. Yes.
I mean, some people already feel good about him. Like some people, they don't need even an apology. Everybody has to make their own decisions. That's what I called for. I brought this to light. If you don't think it's a big deal, that's you. And for me, I'm calling on other leftists to show solidarity for the hundreds of exploited victims and to say, hey, man, you've got to address this. You have got to be honest. And if that's too much, if I'm being unreasonable, please tell me I'm being unreasonable. But I think I'm not. I don't have any kind of super strong hatred of Beau. We've never talked. But
you say,
really
you're saying that thing again, like solidarity with the victims, as if it's like it's perpetually happening right now. He was caught. He served time for this. That wouldn't be what we put on trial. I don't think anyone is on the other side of that argument. I don't think there's going to be like a single person who's progressive or leftist who's like, oh no, that's cool what he did. That was a great thing. Like I think everyone shows solidarity that was a terrible, horrible thing. What comes down to it now is like you said.
You say that, but people were saying in chat earlier that he brought people in here to work. What's the big deal? So you're saying everybody's on the side of like solidarity with the victims, but it seems to me that there are some people who are not.
Well, I'd have to have that discussion with them then, you know?
And they are content creators. You should bring them. You should talk to them, you know?
I should. I know. This seems to be like a perpetual drama farm that all of us will be talking about in perpetuity.
I mean, while I'm still here, what do you think I was unfair about?
I'm gonna have to I probably will have to go through this with a fine-tooth comb. You know, now it's been like an hour since I watched your video. The thing that really stuck out to me was, fuck. The thing that really stuck out to me, Mike, was that you repeatedly accused him multiple times of amassing vast sums of wealth through this process, whereas I don't have any evidence of that. All I see on a regular basis was that he was a subcontract worker for them. It feels to me like he was the fall guy. It feels to me like he, served 41 months for his time. And like, if that's not adequate punishment for the crime, then that's a different conversation for us to have.
Okay, so you've created the idea that he's the fall guy based on the fact that other people testified against him.
There's multiple things that make me think he's the fall guy. The fact that he is, as both said,
I could see?
Well, the fact that he is a contract worker. Do you even acknowledge that he was a contract worker in this regard?
That's not what I saw in the evidence. What was your evidence that he was a contract worker? Maybe I missed something.
All right, I'm gonna put a pin in this for now, Mike. I'll come back at you. I don't like having discussions about things that like, especially where we're gonna be like, we're spurious, right? Like neither of us like, oh, I have to look up this, I have to look up that. Then let me amass a body of evidence for you, this, and then we can have like a proper debate on this topic.
I didn't know you were gonna. I didn't know you were honest. You were taking the fall guy side of this. I just was presenting the evidence.
Again, like I wish you had a conversation with the straw man you're looking for. I'm not saying in any way that like Beau is like absolved of what he did, you know. All right, let's put a pin in this, Mike.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry if it got heated. I just if you could send me the evidence of him being a contract worker and the fall guy, I would like to see it. But nevertheless, he did participate knowingly in the trafficking of hundreds of people. He did submit all the documents. He did go to the places of work. He did take the money from the women so that they made less than federal minimum wage. He did do all those things. That's clear in the evidence. And you know, that is what it is.
And I'm not defending any of that.
And I will not. Yeah.
All right, take it easy, Mike.
Right. See ya.
Everyone keeps saying, "Bring on James." You're talking about James from what?
A few moments later.
Oh, James is the host of Act.tv. Apparently, he's known Beau for 10 years. Has some very spicy things to say. Why don't you you give me a quick breakdown to what's happening and your thoughts on the subject?
Apology clipping the audio. I have a lot of thoughts. I'm in somewhat of a similar situation as you in that I think that there's a lot here that if Beau wanted to discuss it, he would be personally discussing it, and B, if Mike really wanted to have a conversation about, contrition and what's been done, maybe he would have contacted Beau, any of the co-conspirators, any of the attorneys, the district attorney, or any of the advocacy groups for the 1,000 women and teens were brought across the border. However, none of that has happened either on A or B. So I think a whole bunch of people wanted to bring me in here with you so they could continue the blood sports after Mike's 14-hour straight press junket that has included, the morning show, then Chud Logic, then Left Flank Vets, over to here, and however many other streams he can get his 2,200 click video on before the end of the night. Was that fairly concise?
that was concise.
Thank you. I do try.
Do you have information on anything that had happened that we're unaware of? Because I know you've known Beau personally for a very long time.
I will say that your hesitation in jumping full bore into this, in so much that literally everybody testified against Beau, and literally Beau is the only one who didn't testify against any of the people who came over, is very close to dead balls on. And I think that if anybody has ever been arrested and then been convicted, and there was a quote deal cut where, I don't know, you were sentenced to less of a term than you could have been, or there is a restitution agreed upon between defendants and an accused, a lot of that goes into court documents that get sealed. You are not allowed to discuss them. And not being allowed to discuss specifics is a lifetime thing, unlike certain crimes that are only, you can only hit somebody for them 8, 10, 20 years after a crime has been committed. If you do cut a deal with a district attorney, i.e. the state, there are certain aspects of a case you are forbidden from speaking about that is for life.
So you're saying based on that criteria, it would make more sense to you in terms of like, it's not exactly like there's hard proof in that direction. It's more just like, this is the way I would read it kind of thing.
I mean, I think you're dead balls on. I've heard most of the story from the horse's mouth myself. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure like if somebody wanted me going off half cocked, like giving out specific details, again, I think they would have come on here themselves to do so. I know that there was absolutely no attempt made to reach out to Beau about any of this, because I did speak with him last night. I'm glad that Mike had 120 people in his Discord working 17 hours straight to put together that 35-minute long video. I'm glad to see that he rallied the troops to, because he wanted truth and contrition out of somebody off of a story he found off of a 2-year-old Reddit thread on BreadTube after reading the LA Times plant article, and said, look, this is news. Nobody's talked about this. I can tell by looking at all the links in this 2-year-old fucking Reddit thread on BreadTube. So, yeah. Okay, cool. I'm really glad this is being rehashed for a third time in 10 years. I explained this to my chat last night. I had to sit through this crap with Taibbi when Taibbi's Russian intern sex scandal got brought back up by Milo in an effort to, quote, cancel him just as his new book was coming out. Yeah, these old chestnuts have a habit of fucking rehashing themselves when certain people are not allowed to speak about certain specifics on a case and can only speak about generalities.
Someone in chat is saying, I don't know if this is true, did you notice in the court document it mentions how high the penalty was going to get reduced to much as it would assume that he cut a deal to either the locations of these trafficked people, the creator of the visas, and more higher up traffickers under the plea deal? I don't know. I've never looked into, like, that's why I said I want to research the documents a lot more before speaking on them, because obviously, like, we're entering territory where, depending on what you say, it can also be like libel, or sorry, slander, right? Libel is written.
Yes.
Yeah.
And being as somebody, and again, like, for shits and giggles, if you want, like, I'll send you the link to my muck rack profile. It's not like I haven't written more than 850 feature articles in the last decade. Unlike some people who want to play journalist twice a year with their Discord channel. Yeah, I actually did this shit for a living. And if I'm going to go out and do, quote, journalism, I'm going to do so with, quote, journalistic integrity. I'm going to understand that things are alleged, unless they are confirmed, by two independent sources, which is the difference between something being reported and assumed or something being factually asserted. But again, people who don't do this for a living don't understand that.
Okay, I would only do this if I had your consent. If I brought Mike on, would you be comfortable with that, or would you rather just not speak to him?
I mean, I'd rather not speak to him, but if he wants to, like, eke out the last 3 ounces of juice out of the press junket because there isn't an 8 p.m. booking, sure. I will be more than happy to say the fucking very same things I just said for the last 12 minutes again. I'm more than happy to. I'm really good at repeating myself.
As well, I mean, is that as yes? Because he's asking me if he can respond to this, and I'm like, well, I can.
Of course. Fine. Bring him on. Go ahead. Let's get this crap.
All right. Mike from PA is now joining our call. Welcome to the spectacle, everybody.
James, I gotta say that nothing you said was like on point
Cool.
to the situation. It was, talking about like Milo, talking about other stuff. And I'd be happy to talk to Beau, but you were so hard against me yesterday.
Yes, I was.
You immediately went onto the attack and was very personal.
It was.
And okay, so it didn't seem like you were a good faith actor that was like willing to entertain the idea that maybe Beau did something that needs reckoning with.
Number one, I'm not required to be a good faith actor for your personal benefit or
well, you said that to be ethical, I had to like do all these things.
Gentlemen, let me start by saying that rather than we just scream over each other, we'll let one person speak and then the other person respond. We'll just keep that going for as long as we can. All right.
Cool.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Go ahead, hit it.
So, all right. So you admit didn't you also say he could, quote, disappear me? Is that something that you said?
Should I respond now? I believe what I actually said was you have to be really high to piss off a professional operator, because a professional operator can both physically disappear you off the face of the planet and digitally disappear you and make things just come and go at will. I mean, considering that you spent, the last 10 hours calling him
this is a threat. Like,
I'm saying nobody in their right mind would fucking piss off a professional operator who you literally just spent the last 12 hours calling a human trafficker, i.e. somebody who can make people disappear from one place and appear in another.
So he isn't a human trafficker, or I should be scared? Which one is it? I'm confused.
I know you're confused. It's part of your charm, Mike.
Well, you can explain it to me, because I think everybody just saw you threaten me, and that was really cringe.
I don't think
I should be frightened of Beau doing something to me.
No, I didn't imply that. I implied that somebody must be high to want to piss off a professional operator.
Okay. Since you brought
Are you
that
high?
Up, what did Beau do?
Are you high?
Okay. Let's one thing at a time. One thing at a time.
I just want to interrogate this. So Beau is a professional operator. Now, as far as I know, he has claimed to be a gray operator, which means he never worked for the US government, but he worked for like companies and other organizations. Do you have any like background? Has he actually talked about some of the operations that he did? I know that he was the bodyguard of Oliver North. Is that correct? The guy who did the Iran-Contra scandal and who was the president of the NRA?
Yes, your followers put that picture in your Discord channel about 9 hours ago.
So he was a bodyguard for Oliver North.
I can't confirm or deny that. I believe
okay.
Beau could. But I believe I saw the same picture that your followers supplied for you in your Discord channel.
Okay, so you were in my Discord looking at some of the stuff people linked.
I've been on
that
your
they
Discord
found.
for the last 16 hours.
Oh my gosh!
Hey, Hackstock, how are you?
The guys, everybody, he's into my open Discord. So
Yeah,
all right, okay. So
It's
you're
open.
not ready. You don't. You say he's an operator, but you're not comfortable talking about any things that he did. That
No,
doesn't
I
concern
said
you
that
as a leftist.
I didn't say that. I said it's my place to neither confirm nor deny what somebody else did. What's the term for that when you make assertions about something that somebody else did that you weren't personally involved in? I believe there's an expression for that. People who went to law school, I believe, would know that.
Mhm.
That's called hearsay. That's right.
No,
Oh, okay.
hearsay is an out-of-court statement used to prove the matter is and asserted. So when you're in
Right.
court
And
bringing out a statement to prove a thing that was it has nothing to do with like somebody else talking about somebody else. Um,
uh, I cannot
so
I cannot
so that's
confirm or
not
deny
what it is.
other
But go
people's
on.
actions unless they have specifically discussed those specific
Okay, but I
actions
thought
with me.
okay, so you said that I was okay, again, I'm happy to talk to Beau, but he seemingly refuses to talk about this. He refused to talk about it on his 100,000 subscriber stream.
So you
He
messaged
talked
him.
about so I okay, I mean, admittedly I didn't because I was told that he was going to be making a video very shortly this morning that was going to refute everything I had to say. He was going to do a response video. And so I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that there was a presentation of what I had available so that he couldn't just do a spin narrative because I had seen people out there, especially people in your community saying that he was a good guy who had like helped people cross like a coyote to help refugees. And that's something that he said before. And that's not what's apparent in the documents, not just from the police, but also from Southern Poverty Law Center, from the University of Florida's human trafficking report that was written for the Bar Association of Florida. So
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure that evidence was out there before, like, you know, obviously he's huge on YouTube and I'm not. I'm not a YouTube guy. Um, and I don't have 600,000 subscribers. I have a small channel. I know that I'm not significant in the face of somebody promoted by, you know, a lot of powerful money interests to prevent Silicon Valley from being regulated. So I know that everything I say is going to be running up against a much, much larger communities. I did so to be transparent. Maybe I got some things wrong there. I'm happy to correct them when they're brought to my
But
attention. And my main contention here has been, please, Beau, can you be honest about what happened? Explain it and like be contrite because like you say that this is an alt-right talking point. If that's the case, if this is something that the right is going to use to attack Beau and undermine the left, you know, I think it would be damaging to advocates of immigration reform that one of the leading people on YouTube has been convicted of human smuggling, right? Like, couldn't that be used to like for normies and people that are in the middle? Won't that turn them off from our position? So,
uh,
isn't it responsible of him to like come clean?
well, considering that you and your community started working on that video an hour and a half before I even went live yesterday, I would say that you've now done 5 of these shows today, and you've clearly ironed out your talking points as opposed to this morning on Chud Logic when you were tripping all over yourself. And I'm glad to see
Okay.
that you've ironed this out after
This is all
17 hours
rhetoric,
of
man.
video
You're
work
not-
and
you're not-
5 appearances today, Mike. Finally got it ironed out.
Okay. First of all, like, I'm not getting paid to come on the Lance's stream. I'm doing it because
I can't
a
confirm
lot
or
of
deny
people
that.
I'm being attacked, right, by a lot of people, including you. And I have the
Wow.
position I have, and I have the evidence I have, and I'm begging for contrary evidence that's not based on who I am. I know a lot of you don't like me and you never will. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
But what I would like you to do is reference the facts and reference what happened.
Can I ask a fair question?
Okay,
Okay, I'm going to ask a very fair question. If in the now 32 hours since you first had the idea to do this, if you had wanted any of these answers legitimately, you would have legitimately contacted any one of the players in this. You did not reach out to Beau. You did not reach out to any of his co-conspirators. You did not reach out to the district attorney, the office of the district attorney, the Florida State Bar, or any of the groups that represent victims from trafficking. You reached out to nobody, yet now 32 hours later, I'm really just crusading for the people on the left who can't speak for themselves, and I'm just looking for answers when I couldn't be bothered to ask the source for those answers. This is your spiel, Mike. This is why nobody takes you seriously.
Okay, so you all right. So your belief is that whenever someone on a Twitch stream is discussing a pressing matter, that they first must contact the people and proceed with your level of journalistic intensity.
No, if you are going to make a 35-minute discovery video on YouTube where you put up legal documents and you make assertions that people traffic humans, then you want
to believe
answers,
that I should contact the people. They're going to want to come on my Twitch stream to discuss their participation in a human trafficking or a human.
Do you think it would have been fair to reach out to them? I think more is this question.
No. I absolutely think it's fair to reach out to Beau. But James here, and again, this is me publicly reaching out to Beau right now. I haven't gone on my Twitter account and made a bunch of accusations and attacks. I haven't gone out of my way to attack Beau and try to humiliate him. I've made my video. I've asked for him to respond. It's not an effort to destroy the guy. That's just something these people are cooking up in their own mind. And the reason why they're going to the clout is because they can't discuss the facts. Because I'm not getting much clout out of this. It's not like I'm getting super boosted. Beau's viewers are not on Twitch. That's where I am. That's where my money is made. It's just baseless. What I'm trying to do is get the facts out there. And quite frankly, it doesn't seem like any of you care what they are. It seems that you guys have an emotional bias. You're a friend, so your bias is clear. You don't want to see your friend hurt. That's human. That's normal. I get it. But for the rest of us who are not connected personally to Beau, who haven't been his friend for 10 years, I would like him to answer. If he and I don't believe he comes on streams like mine to talk about his past. I know he did talk on that on a libertarian, right-wing libertarian channel.
Can I ask a question, man? Lance?
Yep.
How many times has Beau appeared on your Twitch broadcast?
Twice, I think, or 3 times.
Okay.
I mean,
would you say he's a difficult person to get in touch with? Was he difficult to get in touch with, Lance?
No, but I don't want to also say that is someone you have to be followed back on Twitter before he'll talk to you, right? But I've personally never had any trouble. I don't think I'm a good metric for what the average person could do in terms of reaching out to Beau, though. Just to be fair,
Mike's not an average person.
Oh yeah, true. Okay, yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
He's not a schmuck. Mike's got check marks on multiple social media platforms. He's not some jackhole who just wanders in and goes, I demand answers, Beau.
Okay, well, if you feel that he would talk to me, I didn't believe
don't know that he would talk to you.
I will offer it. I will say, hey, let's go over this. Bring all the documents. Now, you also implied
34 hours after I made the video. That's the problem, Mike. This is the problem you keep blowing past. Oh, well, maybe I should have reached out to him, but I didn't. And oops,
I was told
already
wait, James, did you not publish the idea that he was going to make a response? Why would I need to bring him on if he's going to publish a response? Didn't you run away? Didn't you directly message him immediately after I started uncovering these details?
No, I actually messaged him about 10 minutes after my stream went live when somebody DM'd me all the shit gibbonness that happened.
Okay.
And then
by the way, do you know who came up with the shit gibbon line? There was a Democratic state senator called Trump a shit gibbon.
It's money. It's a money.
And that guy has now been bounced out of the Democratic Party for sexual harassment. So good quote.
Yeah, wait till somebody explains to you that there are no great writers, only great plagiarists.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
All right. Let's focus. Let's focus up, gentlemen.
I don't know. It's just one of those cringe things. Anyway, his name is Dalen Leach, chat, if you want to look it up. Anyway. Okay. So you're mad at that I didn't reach out to Beau. Okay. Fair enough. I will talk to Beau if he'll talk to me. I will clarify this. And had it been publishing this in a with an editor, I'm sure they would have suggested that. And I absolutely agree that that's a good thing. We should bring Beau on to talk about it.
Like
So
I said,
Lance,
my- my-
if you would reach out to him for me and say, hey, Mike from PA wants to talk to you about this stuff, and he's a good faith actor. He's not there to hurt you. Come on to his stream and let's talk about this. And and
I'll be totally honest
happy
though. The reason I laugh there is that if I had seen someone make a video about me in the way you did, it would be hard for me to approach that like that. This is a good faith. It's going to be a good faith interaction.
what was
right?
the bad faith part, do you think?
with the video?
I mean, you say like I said he made millions, and I don't have the best evidence for it, other than like the court documents and the like. So the conspiracy made millions. So whether or not he personally made millions, I don't have the best argument. I don't have the best direct evidence for it, but I do know the conspiracy made millions.
My point here being is that I think it's less about James saying that you should now have like a debate with Beau or something on the channel, and more like
I
no, sorry, but what I mean by that is that like it's more he's criticizing that ahead of the time before you would release this, his critique is that you should have reached out to the people involved, the players involved beforehand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you, when you make a video, just question, when you make a video about Steven Crowder, do you reach out to Steven Crowder first?
I do.
Yes, every single time.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about
okay.
But I was like, okay. But I'm also
so
like,
that, so is that standard? Is it standard on YouTube video creation to reach out to the target?
It's standard
People
for
have made
somebody.
dozens of videos about me, and
It's
they never reached
standard
out
when
to
you're
me.
playing the part when you spend 35 minutes with 100 people helping you. You literally have an entire team of people, and you're making a takedown piece on somebody, and you have your hands on quote evidence, which is court files. I mean, they saw everything you have. Like everything you have, they're all valid documents. It's not like they got made up in a fucking.
So I didn't make anything up. It's not made up.
No. I didn't say you made any documents up.
But James,
I said that there was a lot of nuance, and that at no point did you bother reaching out to anybody. You went with the approach of, I am going to poop on this person first, and then afterwards I'll worry about the specifics of
James, can I ask you something though? Where you keep, I've heard you make that assertion twice now. You said he had 100 people working on this with him. What's the evidence behind that?
Oh my God, I have like 385 different Discord shots. You had to see it. It was like it was like a fucking production army over there.
Okay,
Mike, did you pay them, Mike? Did you pay them all?
I exploited. No, some of my Discord community was really fired up when they found out about this, and they posted stuff. And I have 5,000 people in my Discord, man. Like people chat and do things. It's not part of something that I directed. I have like 5 people who are in my inner circle mod team that we talk sometimes on Discord. There was no gigantic production led by me to scour every possible archive and get the stuff. This was the stuff that was readily available.
Hold on. No. This morning
in a voice chat that they're in all the time. People are in my voice chat.
This morning on Chud Logic, you claimed twice that you spent the night scouring the internet to find clips where Beau apologized or discussed the redress.
Yes, I did. I personally did.
But now you just said you and your team didn't spend hundreds of hours scouring stuff on the internet. You're horribly inconsistent, Mike.
That's not consistent. That's not inconsistent. I said I personally did, and I did. And I found 2 things. I found him on this right-wing libertarian podcast where he said his politics were most closely aligned with the Libertarian Party in Florida, especially a crank that was against driver's licenses. And then he talked. Then that was the end of the video, which Lance said was pretty damning. And then the other time was the very beginning of the video, which was the 100,000 sub Q&A, where basically he did a very lawyerly like, oh, it's ridiculous that I've been accused of human trafficking. I was convicted of human smuggling, of alien smuggling. Yeah. And then he said he asked himself a rhetorical question, are you going to talk about it? And he said no. So those are the 2 times I found referencing it. Now, you in the clip where you called me a shit gibbon, quoting Dalen Leach, proven sexual predator, that there was like,
I don't even know what that is. I'm sorry. I'm so out of the loop here. But anyway, sorry.
A gibbon is a type of like, I think it's a primate. So just calling someone a shit gibbon is a funny turn of phrase because like gibbon is fun to say.
It
Good
is.
mouthfeel.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
mouthfeel.
it does have good mouth.
So then you said like there was all sorts of examples of him talking about it on his channels. And I went and looked for it because I didn't want to make the video if I was wrong in my thesis, which is like he's actually contrite, he's sorry, he's been working on it, and he's publicly honest about it. But I couldn't find it.
Right. And I said that he discussed it once in a video and again later when it came back up again on a live stream, both of which are on the VOD clip that Hackstock passed along to you that you watched. Exactly what I said. That he was, and Lance just played the video again less than 15 minutes ago.
Which was what?
I said that Beau has discussed this once in a YouTube video and once on a live stream.
Okay,
exactly
did you
what
have
I
the live?
said.
But, so did I miss something?
Well, no, you've missed a lot of stuff just because you didn't bother to ask anybody. Like you're sitting around wondering, like, I wonder if he was an ANCAP or a libertarian. And then you literally go on to quote that he worked with people from anti-media, and you're sitting here utterly clueless of context, having no idea who Anti-Media or Free Thought Project are, or that, yes, they are indeed like a 17 million follower ANCAP community who fucking Justin worked with combined with a whole bunch of websites he had, including but not limited to stuff like the Tribune, which you didn't find, Sleeper Cells, which you did find. Like, you literally knew half the story. I sat there watching your people in Discord doing research, acting like they were fucking discovering like gold nuggets by the side of the river, and there were other people's turds from a 3-year-old Reddit thread.
Okay, so your argument is this is old snooze and it's not significant because it's old?
No, I'm saying that this particular subject,
and he is an ANCAP.
This particular story. No, I'm saying that he used to work with a libertarian media group.
I mean, okay, so like based on I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jays, but he said it is perfect world. It sounded very much like libertarian memes, very much like ANCAPistan, mutualism, like, businesses voluntarily funding hospitals. If Lance wants to watch the video, and I think it would be fair to say that he's at least right-wing libertarian adjacent.
So is that pertinent to the accusations that you've been making, though?
Well, yes, because it relates to his like comfortability of like exploiting people. Like if you're a right-wing libertarian,
that's the assertion you're making.
Okay,
interesting.
If you're a right-wing libertarian, you are okay with, as long as it's a quote consensual contract, then it's not a problem, right? Like that's what ANCAPistan is. Like there is no minimum wage because you agreed to it, and consent's all that matters. And we don't pay attention to any of the context and exploitation, which is one of the leftists, like Lance. I hope you would agree with this, that like people working for Amazon right now are being exploited. They don't have the
technically the two of us are working for Amazon, though. I'm enriching Amazon right now just by virtue of this.
Now. Like, did you are we able to really negotiate our contracts?
Are you asking? Because my answer is, as far as I know, no. I've emailed them about that before.
So the power is 100% on the employer side. They have complete control. So we're exploited, and we get the deal. It's either accept the deal or don't stream. Mm-hmm. So that's the power dynamic. And in ANCAPistan, that's A-OK. And so if he is a right-wing libertarian in his views,
but we're really in the weeds now. I don't know what that has to do with.
I know we're down in the weeds, but James wanted to talk more about Beau, his friend, and
I
worked for correct me on anything.
I worked for ActTV. Does that make me a liberal? Really?
No, but did you say liberal shit? Like, did you espouse liberalism?
Have I espoused liberalism before? Maybe I have. I mean, I was a Ron Paul chud in fucking 2008. Guess what?
Okay, but you changed your mind publicly, and it's clear what your position is now.
I would say so.
Then that, as far as I'm concerned, you're A-OK, because.
But wouldn't you say the same thing about Beau? He's got 1,300 videos at this point, and I'd say the vast majority of them that speak about human trafficking or labor exploitation say that that's a bad thing. Like he's got a large body of work to that effect. If you could have something
that's on point for what we're talking about, I'd be happy to look at it. I think the videos he makes now are what I said earlier, which is pretty much like liberal catnip. It appeals to a certain type of person, maybe some leftists as well. I think a lot of anarchists are attached to the idea that he's an anarchist and he's a big content creator who calls himself an anarchist. But he doesn't really he doesn't use the word anarchism or socialism. At the beginning of this stream, I offered to pay people money if they could find him on his YouTube channel saying he's a socialist or anarchist. So, I mean, he kind of comments on topical stories of the day, but he isn't really pushing leftism or radical politics on that platform.
Would that change your opinion on everything that's taken place so far, though? If you found out that he was in fact an anarchist,
a bit. I would change my opinion a bit, but still, I can't help but be very troubled by the history and the dissembling and the lack of any kind of remorse. Are you not troubled by that, James, or do you think that he's paid his debt to society and he's good to go?
As I said, listen, I'm going to understand that there's a portion of this where I get to eat shit, and this is the portion where I get to eat this portion of shit, and I'm more than happy to. I understand that I have had access to certain facts about certain portions of this that a lot of people don't, that are behind a legal paywall, and I can sit here and fume and gnash my teeth about knowing that there are narratives being put out there that are inaccurate that I am not allowed to publicly say anything about, and thus it is extremely frustrating to me. And you're right, I totally get to eat 1,000 pounds of shit on being ragey about something that I know to be untrue, yet I can't bring it to the table, and I will 100% eat that portion of crap on this, because that's my own problem and issue that I have to deal with, being with friends with somebody for a very long time who's been through a legal process. That part's on me, and I'll 100% own that. That's my own.
Do you really think that it's my goal to destroy Beau? Honestly, truly.
Okay. Let me tell you what I think. I'm going to be honest. Okay. And again, I'm not exaggerating when I say between shooting, doing your audio, doing all the research, doing writing, you had close to 100 people help you with this over the course of an 18-hour production span. And that if you just wanted to vent your rage or your anger, whether it be justified or not, and I'm going to say justified, about reading this story and finding out and then going, hey, how come I didn't know about this? I'm going to fucking rage about it. And you flip on the camera and you scream and yell for 6 minutes about how it's utter bullshit. That makes sense. If you are going to spend 35 minutes doing a legal research takedown piece with court documents and documents from the Florida Bar Association, and you are going to
from the Southern Poverty Law Center,
and if you are going to treat it as research, and then you purposely do not contact anybody else on the other side of the story, then yes, your entire angle about making it, and then all of this fucking press junket you've been doing about it all day, is puffery. Because it wasn't about your anger about it, because if it was about your anger, you would have been angry. You weren't angry. You took the tactical approach. You took the very deliberate approach, and along with that, you deliberately didn't reach out to him or to anybody else.
Okay, so you're saying that I am doing this tactically to harm Beau, or tactically to advance my position the best, or what am I doing the tactical thing? What's the goal that I'm pursuing here?
I literally have no idea what the fuck you're pursuing. I mean, here.
There is Occam's razor, which is I'm pursuing the goal that I say that I am, which is we have a major leftist content creator that's disassembling and lying about his past and the labor exploitation that he took place in and he profited from. And I am disturbed by that, and I think that he ought to come forward with a truthful account and show true remorse. Is that crazy?
Well, if you had contacted him and you had found out if at any time he reached some kind of, I don't know, some kind of a deal or some way in which he was atoning for that directly to the victims, which I believe after your 4th interview, you pivoted and said what you really want is that he make amends to the people he harmed, which wasn't what you started with this morning on your streamer on Chud Logic. But
I
saw
think
you-
I think that would be
Well,
someone. Okay, so first
Here,
of
can
all,
I can I help this out? Wait, can I help this out? Just for record, right? Isn't Occam's razor like the simplest explanation is usually the correct one? And in this case, wouldn't that be like the motive behind you doing this is for clout or for views or for exposure?
No.
As is the same reason why a lot of people would want to talk about it, right? The same reason, like, you know, people would want to host this right now.
Are you talking about it pure for clout, Lance? Are you doing this purely for venal?
It's part of it for sure, because like there's no question that this right now is generating incredibly spicy memes, and that's why, like, you know, a lot of people are interested in watching it. But I'm also interested in getting to the root of this. Of course, I'm as fascinated by the subject matter.
There's a mix between like.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, you know what? I will concede that when I post a video on my YouTube channel, people watch on my YouTube channel, and the tiny YouTube channel that I have with not many viewers doesn't make me much money compared to my Twitch. Approximately 1% when compared. So if my goal is to make money, it's not going to be it on my YouTube channel.
Well, yeah, but everyone on the Twitch platform, which you are like the dominant male on, you know, the alpha male, or so you say,
Sigma male,
right? The Sigma male. I'm joking, but right, yes, but every single person at some point now has talked about this, right? Like Destiny, I'm sure, is doing something on this now. Chud Logic did something on this. I'm doing something on this. Kevin Logan did something on this. Like the thing is that like this has been a content factory.
Well, okay, it is a content factory, but it's also an important story. I don't begrudge anybody for looking into it and seeing if my claims are bullshit or not. Like, I think that's legitimate, and I welcome that. And I wish, you know, at the end of the day, if the same, you know, if somebody else found a video, you know, made the same video I made, I would be examining the facts on the ground. And yes, it is interesting. And yes, this is a content where people watch content, but it seems like a distraction from the underlying issues at play, which is the thing that's been kind of frustrating me. And it is disheartening to see people attack you personally for stuff that's not related to this, because they're angry that someone they like is under suspicion or under some sort of like scrutiny. And if you have a strong emotional attachment, like, you know, I recognize it's your friend, man. Like I feel for you. I do. And I'm sure he's actually a good guy. I'm sure he's reformed.
You don't even know the half of it.
But
you literally know nothing.
He hasn't done enough on this, in my opinion, which is why I made the video. And that's what my channel is. It's my opinion, and I get to say it. And I've also been very, very, very open and honest about why I formed my opinion. I've been open and honest that I was never a huge fan of his content in the first place. But at the end of the day, like, you know, as far as if I just talked about the Derek Chauvin trial today, I would have done just as well on my metrics than talking about this. This is something that troubled me, and I didn't have an adequate explanation, so I made a video about it.
And you would have done the same thing if it was Sam Cedar, for example. You would have done the exact same
Absolutely.
thing.
If Sam Cedar had and maybe this, you know, you can just not believe me, which is okay. But if Sam Cedar was accused of human trafficking, first of all, I would reach out to him personally because I have that connection. I would say, hey, what's the deal with this? You need to get on this. You need to say something. Because I have that connection. I know him, and I would have done that. And James is right to point that out. I don't have that connection to Beau. And quite frankly, I saw the wagons being circled so fast by the Beau stands that I was like, well, I should put out my perspective. And then, you know, if they rip it apart, they rip it apart. And I'll make a secondary video, a follow-up, where I deal with all of their critiques. And if it turns out that I was wrong about Beau, I will be the first one to admit it, and I'll eat that shit sandwich, because it's not about canceling. It's not about trying to get rid of Beau. It's not about any of that. It is, we have somebody that's this prominent. He's done these really horrible things, and he's lying about it, and it turns my stomach.
But listen,
and also, I don't really I gotta be honest. I don't know what you're talking about as far as like about like things being sealed and behind NDAs and stuff. Because like in a criminal case, the person that would want things sealed is the criminal defendant. So Beau is the one who wants like things hidden for his benefit. So if he got things sealed, it's, you know, sealed for his benefit. Like he can break the seal and talk about it anytime he wants.
Right. Other than all the other,
not do that if he didn't want to like I don't know.
So
Talk
so
about
you
it.
missed the part where literally everybody but Beau offered testimony
Against him.
against the people they also brought over. They didn't only offer testimony against Beau.
Do
They
you have?
literally offered
You know what?
testimony about
James,
everybody.
James, if I believe you, well, let's for the sake of argument, I will. Do you have anything to back that up, like that I could take a look at, showing them
Yep.
like
You have
prosecuting immigrants?
you have the majority of the court docs in which people who aren't Beau gave testimony
Against
about the
Beau.
activities of the people who were quote trafficked. Did you miss that part?
Yeah,
Where
okay,
literally the
so-
only person who had nothing to say about what any of those people wanted or did was Beau. Why would you think?
Okay,
he is the-
so this
did
is
you
where I
even
need to
take a
start.
second to
Go ahead,
think
say your
about
piece.
it? No,
Okay,
did you even take a second
I
to
did
think?
think about it because I have experience here. So what happens in these cases is the people who came over here didn't commit any crimes. They came over here and they had a promise of a job. They had a visa that they paid for. And as far as they knew, they were working for the Marriott. They were working for whatever their visa was for. They didn't commit any crimes. There's nothing to convict them of. They were human trafficked, and they had a valid visa as far as they were concerned. The persons who committed crimes were the people in the trafficking conspiracy who were forging documents, stealing letterheads, signing the things purporting to be presidents of Hilton, and all the things that they did in order to get all those fake visas. So I actually have no idea what you're talking about, because all those people, their status as far as they're concerned would be legal, and the only problem was that the other parties fraudulently did the visas. And if those people came forward and testified, now remember, many of these were temporary visas that last a few months. So for a criminal trial to actually take place, it lasts far longer than a couple months. Most of their visas would have expired and they would have returned to their home country, which is what the conspiracy was counting on. When you pay someone $2.50, $2.60 an hour, they go back to Romania. There's no one for them to complain to, and then you get to keep all the profit. Well, so
Wait,
that's not
who's
what are you trying to say here? They
Who's you?
testified against the people.
No. Who's you? You said, and you
19-year-old
get to keep
Romanian
all the
woman
profit.
who is trafficked.
No. That's not what you said. You said, and then you get to keep all the profit. Who is you?
The people in the criminal conspiracy. The people in the criminal conspiracy.
Just want to make sure, because you've said 183 times in the last 24 hours that quote, Beau made millions of dollars. I just want to make sure as you keep repeating this statement.
Okay, I want to amend this to make sure that I'm as precise as possible. The criminal conspiracy was accused of making millions of dollars, 3.2 million. They ended up, the judgment that Beau was liable for personally was 1 million. So if
32 hours later, you finally amending that.
I amended it earlier with Lance. I talked about it precisely, that
you're supposed to amend
that's
this.
where the millions comes from. This is the one thing that I did take from the court documents. Was the 3.2. That's where the millions thing comes from. Is the criminal conspiracy that Beau was a part of was accused of making millions on trafficking these women and abusing them. And the final judgment where he was found guilty and ordered to pay, he was ordered to pay $1 million. He was personally liable for $1 million.
So I'm going to say the court documents say that the court documents say that all participants had to pay a total of 1 million, not Beau alone.
They're joint and severally liable. What that means is, like, if none of them pay, he owes $1 million. But they all contribute in common to the $1 million fund. So he was personally liable for $1 million. That's what that means.
And does any of that also change the claim that James made that he's the only one that didn't testify directly against any of the immigrants in?
They all got sentenced as well. He was the one that got the longest sentence.
But you didn't answer my question. You didn't answer my question, though, because that is important, right? Well, Beau was the only one who didn't testify against any of the immigrants in the case, whereas the other three party members did.
As far as I don't know what he's talking about. That's what I mean. He says they didn't testify about the immigrants in the case, but I was saying I'm contesting that, because what would you testify against someone with a short-term visa for that was already out, like leaving the country? There's nothing to testify against them for. They didn't do anything wrong. So what the hell is he talking about? Does he have evidence of like the other things testifying? Maybe I missed it. But I don't know what he's talking about.
As part of both the discovery and then the case, they interviewed everybody who was, quote, in the conspiracy, and, quote, everybody gave comments and gave testimony about the activities and the requests of the people trafficked. Oh, well, these people said they wanted to come here and do this. Oh, well, these people said they wanted to do that. Oh, well, these people came in and said, oh, we'll do anything. Please just get us over there. And then
that's
they
not illegal. That's not a criminal offense. They're
I didn't say
testifying
it was-
about. Well, yes, they took a. I mean, James, they took.
I never
a
said
deal.
it was.
They took a deal to testify against James, who was the American citizen front of this conspiracy for years. So yes,
Yeah.
they said that this is what people came to do. They were promised as
Right,
part
and
of our
who's-
conspiracy. We promised these people jobs at these
Right.
hotels, and then we
And
lied
who-
because we didn't have those jobs.
And
we just
who
kind
is
of-
the only one who followed the very basic rules of shut the fuck up Friday? Who is the only
He's-
one?
because he was. They didn't want him to testify. They were going after him. He was the target. What's he going to do? Go up there and admit it? He didn't want to admit it. He doesn't admit he did anything wrong to this day.
They were going after the
So
contract.
congratulations for not snitching on yourself.
So they were going after the contracted labor of a deep criminal organization and enterprise that had been moving all these people. And your takeaway from all of this is that they were going after the contractor. That's your takeaway, is that the contractor was the subject of all of this, not the.
I mean, you're saying he's a contractor. Do you have what's your evidence of that?
Paperwork for
What do you
thousands.
mean that he? Are you sure he had no equity in any of these companies?
No, you said that they came after him and him alone. You said he was the
one that everybody else cut a deal to go after. So there was no one else for him to testify against. He was the target. They wanted to put him away because he was the American citizen that was facilitating it, and he turned in personally hundreds of these documents. He went, in the testimony that I covered, he went to the one of the hotels that the witness who came in, she said he personally went there. He's the one who said she owed him $1,142 to renew the lease, or renew the visa, excuse me. He is the one who submitted it. Like, he was personally involved in every step of the way, including exploiting the woman, lying about the visas, submitting them to the government. Like, from start to finish, he was key in all this exploitation of these workers. So yes, they went after him as the target.
Yes, and so again, and you didn't actually confirm with anybody who was the subject of this particular investigation, or any of the people who were charged, any of the people who cut a deal, any of the people who gave statement, any of the people who gave on the record statements or just written statements. Like, you didn't bother to contact anybody, and then you waited until your video fizzled and got 2,000 clicks, and now it's, well, all of this stuff didn't
Why
happen.
are you focusing on? Okay, I don't give a shit about YouTube. I
You
honestly,
did.
I don't.
You made a video for it.
I
where
made a
you-
video so that Beau couldn't just go and do a spin, because I was told he was gonna talk about this issue, and I had seen what he said before, so I made the video. I felt that it was my responsibility to get the information out there, so that when his video went up, there would be another video that had and that's why I spent most of the time talking about the sources, not my own personal fucking spin on it, because I wanted it to be very well sourced into what people were saying about this case, and I think I accomplished that. Now, I'm happy to talk to Beau. I mean, this is not the book is not closed. If he's got some new information to help us overturn what we know that isn't based on some bullshit, then I'd be happy to look at it.
Hey, Beau, I decided you pissed me off. So instead of asking you about it, I'm going to step on your dick for
What was the
35
spin, Mark?
video. Then
What was the spin? What was the spin?
Then
What was the
I'm
spin?
going to spend all day doing a press junket promoting it. But now that I'm done, hey, Beau, let's have a talk about this. I just want facts. Are you taking yourself seriously? Because literally nobody else within the fucking hearing distance of your voice right now is.
Oh, that ain't true, and I think that pisses you off, but
Not at all.
I
Your
mean,
contact factory, bro.
okay, I mean, whatever you say, I think at the end of the day, like, your friend has done some really heinous shit and doesn't want to talk about it because it interrupts he's the one who's got something to worry about, like, he's the one who's angry about this coming to light. He's the one who refuses to talk about it, not me. So I don't know what to tell you other than Beau, you know.
Yeah, he seems
It'd be a
really
shame
great.
if someone bigger than me, like a media, picks this up. You
Oh,
know,
I wonder who
and
that
starts
would be,
talking
Mike.
about it.
Mike, I
That would be
wonder.
a shame.
It would be a shame if you wonder who picked it up after you went on 5 different shows and kept repeating the words "Beau is a human trafficker." That
I mean, like,
everybody's clipped multiple times. I would love to see who you would then pass this along to, because we're going to have a grand old time.
I mean, is he or isn't he? And I think he should make that statement. Like, you know,
Is he or
make some
isn't he?
statements.
Well, you said 37 times he's a human trafficker, so guess what? You now have to own that shit. And everybody
I
clipped
said
it
exactly.
on
I
every
said
appearance
exactly.
you made today.
Okay,
Every appearance. Every
They made
time.
a lot of clips. Okay, good.
Maybe you shouldn't call people human traffickers if they're not convicted of human trafficking. But hey, you'll get to find out for yourself
Okay,
whether.
bring it on, man. Because I would love discovery. Let's go. I got no expenses and plenty of money. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, you do got plenty of money, right? Yeah, cool. Thanks for reminding
Let's
everybody.
go. Let's go. Because I mean, like, I'd love to do this. This would be good.
Your OPSEC is for shit, Mike. It really is. Shit.
So at the end of the day, you're threatening me with a slap suit. You're threatening me with me being disappeared, and that no one in their right mind would piss off an operator. This is the cringiest shit I've ever heard.
Who?
And by the way, if he sues me, he's got to sue.
Gentlemen, I'm gonna rein this in a little bit, wee bit.
He's got to sue the Florida Bar Association and the University of Florida because they're the ones who said it, and the prosecutor said it. That's what I read. It's not me. It's me repeating stuff that's already out there. And any reasonable person who's a public figure cannot argue that I did this with maliciousness or bad faith. It's sourced, and that's that.
But then you went on 5. But then you went on 5 shows today and said, "quote Beau is a human trafficker," which isn't what you said in your video, where you were very careful to make sure you were following all the legality and terminology. But see, Mike, once you get loosey-goosey and you've been on the internet talking for 12 hours, you get sloppy.
I mean, there you go, chat. There you go. There you go. I mean, this is the again, Lance. You have any thoughts on this?
On what, you suing each other? I'm not involving myself in that.
Shambolic bullshit.
Oh, this? Yeah, it's an absolute train wreck. But that's what I imagined. I will be intellectually honest though, and say that this is obviously something that is being milked by me for views. Being transparent about it. But I don't think either of you are in a bad way, right? Like we're not. Is there actual genuine anger or hatred between the two of you? I think you've laid out both your arguments pretty.
I think it's pretty sad and pathetic and quite shambolic that you would be this angry at me for simply repeating and reading the facts that many others have said. You know, like why? What is he mad at the university? Is he mad at Southern Poverty Law Center?
Because none of them want
the Florida Bar Association. Is he? I mean, he's probably mad at his prosecutors. That's fair enough.
None of them put up trafficked people as a way to garner click. You did.
What? He's the one who lied and said he was rescuing refugees, James. You can't be this disgusting, can you? He's the one who lied and said he was rescuing Uzbeki Jews, and that's why the Fed kicked this door in. That was a lie he told.
At what point have I discussed his activities?
So is that okay with you?
All right, if this is going to devolve into name calling, then there's not really a point. We've reached the limit of the internet. You know?
To rescue him. Don't rescue him from this question. Is it okay that he lied about rescuing Uzbeki Jews when in reality he was trafficking women from Romania and Bulgaria, who are not rich countries, but certainly not places where there's a bunch of refugees coming from? There are some, but they're not known for their political instability at this point. They're not refugee sources, major refugee sources. So was it disgusting when he lied about it? Or is it disgusting for me reading the documents that are very public?
Listen, they're public documents. You're free to read them and you're free to make whatever assertions you want from them. I'm not telling you shouldn't. I'm telling you that I thought you would be smarter in picking your choice of words when you go out.
I did. I said that he was convicted
15-hour press junket.
alien trafficking, and he in the Florida State University. In case this is not clear, and they said in the document prepared for the Florida Bar Association that he met all of the elements of human trafficking, and they didn't. They're not sure why he wasn't prosecuted for it.
And did they call him a human trafficker, or did they say that?
Yes, they called it labor trafficking, which is the textbook definition of human trafficking. They called him a labor trafficker.
They called him a labor.
Human trafficking is. Human trafficking includes labor trafficking.
And
James,
why is it?
You should read a book.
Oh, I do read books, but I was busy reading all your court documents, the ones that were prepared by Florida State University that you quoted that stated
labor trafficking. Exactly. That's exactly what I've been saying.
Geez, I'm so sorry for talking.
So you're saying no reasonable person could call him a human trafficker?
I'm sorry. Look, I'm going to stop talking while you're interrupting, so I don't want to be rude.
Have you ever called Trump a human trafficker?
Have you ever called Trump a human trafficker? No.
Yeah, for what he did with Trump modeling, what he did in Mar-a-Lago, what he's been associated with, all that. You don't think that Trump did human trafficking level activity? Have you accused Matt Gaetz of being a human trafficker? Or maybe you haven't talked about that because it's the same district as Beau. Do they know each other? Do Beau and Matt Gaetz know each other?
I actually, really? That's where you're going to go?
I mean, it's a legitimate question. They're both involved in human trafficking in the same communities.
If you want to play, if this is the angle you're going and you want to go full board, then now we're going to play a different game, Mike. Are you sure this is where you want to go?
Oh, I'm just asking because you're so up your own ass.
It's a yes/no question. Answer the fucking question.
What's the question?
Are you sure this is the angle you want to take?
The angle of human trafficking in the Florida Panhandle?
No, trying to take a swerve to compare this to Donald Trump. I want to make sure that this is the fucking comparison you want to make.
Donald Trump. So here's the thing. Donald Trump takes advantage of people just like this. They use people on these J1 visas in Mar-a-Lago. It was a major story repeated. So, I mean, it's a question is like, did Justin have people work at Mar-a-Lago? That would be interesting. Probably not, because it's so common. But this story was something that was that leftists talked about. Was like Trump was talking about tightening immigration. We got to build the wall. We got to reduce the immigrants. While at the same time, he was doing these J1 visas and the H2B visas in Mar-a-Lago to have lower priced labor. So that was something Trump did, and I found it disgusting, and I called that trafficking back activity. But you wanted special permission for your friend who was convicted of alien smuggling for the purpose of labor exploitation.
What?
So why should he get special dispensation? Because he's your friend, you like him? We shouldn't talk about it open and honestly?
Not at all. I didn't. At no point did I say you should not talk about this. At no point did I say that you made up legal document. I didn't. None of that happened. I said that you were an exceptionally shitty human being for reading a fucking court document and a paper from a bunch of fucking junior lawyers at LSU and then making a 35-minute half-cocked hit piece for clicks instead of maybe sending a message to the dude.
Okay, so it's been an incredibly boring conversation where your main contention is you refuse to deal with any of the points other than to say you should have talked to Beau. I've said, Lance, message Beau on my behalf and say, let's have a conversation. I'm happy to amend anything that he thinks I've gotten wrong. If Beau can correct me on some of the details, I'd be happy to correct them. He's the one who knows. He's the best one. He's the best one. He's the one with the most intimate knowledge. But in other interviews, he says he doesn't really remember how many charges he caught. So
I have to agree with the assertion that I think talking to Beau at this point, when you effectively made a video that I think the metaphor of stepping on a penis would be quite accurate.
Why?
Probably.
Well, why does Beau?
Well, I don't think he would be interested in a conversation now after the fact. I think wasn't the assertion by James always that you should have reached out to him before all of this went down. instead
In
of
the
now?
future, I will reach out to people. I appreciate that idea. I mean, I know that's not a standard. You told me that you don't reach out to people when you make videos on them.
I don't do that for someone like
I
Steven.
didn't think that was,
yeah, but I know, but I don't do that for someone like Steven Crowder because I don't respect anything about Steven Crowder. You know, so I'm gonna make a video, and my
okay,
videos,
sorry.
my videos
guess,
they aren't like
fair
you know explorations of like you know the nuance of Steven Crowder. He's a fucking dumpster fire, and I'm gonna call it out. If I did one on like you know someone in the field, I would probably be like, hey, by the way, this is kind of iffy. I want to talk to you about it or something to that effect, right?
You know what? You're absolutely right. I guess just this behavior was so far beyond what I would call iffy that it was like, all right, like this person's like he's continually expressed no desire to talk about it. So I didn't believe there was any prospect of success. So I just like said, why waste my time? And then there was also the reality that he said he was going to put something out immediately, and you watched it. And what was your thoughts on that, Lance?
On the
this
response video? I don't think he addressed the issue at all. I think he talked about something else. I would have liked to assume address it.
So, you know, I was operating under stuff being communicated from James that turned out not to be true. And
Sorry, what did I communicate to you?
Which you said that he was going to do the compression was put out by you, and maybe it's more accurately your members of your community, that there was going to be some massive own response takedown in the morning.
So now what you're saying is I didn't do that. I just want to make sure we're on the same page here.
Okay, so all right,
because you're rather flippant with words when it suits you.
I mean, I think I was pretty clear. It was either you or members of your community. You did say, did you not, that he was going to respond? Did you say he was going to respond in the morning, or am I misremembering? Maybe I'm misremembering. I don't.
Yeah, but I'm going to be totally honest here. I think Beau was responding to the LA Times article. I don't think he was responding to like the 2,000 view YouTube video. I think that was
fair enough.
Yeah, probably. And on that same thing, I don't think he owes anyone, especially like you know you or me, content creators, a conversation. Like if ultimately what you were trying to get at is that he has done something egregious, and I think he should answer for it. It shouldn't be that he has to talk to me about that issue, right?
Exactly. That's odd. Like you're right. I wasn't demanding he talk to me. I was demanding that he like address this, and show some remorse and refute his old statements. The purpose of the video is to establish that he's been lying about his past and what he did in these incidents, and that he needs to have a response that clarifies it. That's why I go out of my way to say I'm not canceling him or saying he should be deplatformed. The word deplatform, ban, or he's a bad person, you know, is not part of the content. The content is, here's what he said, here's the facts that I know them, here's what he said years ago, lying about it, and here's why that's not okay, in my opinion, as a leftist. And he ought to respond. That is what was problematic about that. I just like the idea that James is saying is that I was doing something that is journalistically not up to his standard, that I should have contacted Beau first. And you know, quite frankly, contacted him for something I just found like I had a low prospect of success. Maybe I should reevaluate that. And next time I could say in the video, I reached out to Beau and he didn't respond. And I will take that going forward. You know, we always get better. Thanks for that critique. I will use that going forward.
I'm just saying, you don't make part of your spiel that you were demanding answers. Don't make part of your spiel that I was demanding answers when you weren't demanding answers, because if you were demanding answers, I don't know, you would have contacted him and demanded answers. You weren't demanding answers.
You got to answer this.
You wanted clicks. You wanted clicks.
Well, you're just attacking my motivations so you can not talk about the facts. This is true of any time anyone. It's like going to The Intercept and saying you wanted clicks when they exposed the pee bottles. Yes, they wanted clicks for The Intercept, but they also wanted people to be informed about the exploitative labor practice in Amazon.
But you didn't expose something new in this case, right? Like you put out information that was already publicly available.
No.
Okay, so what I did is I synthesized already publicly available information that was subsumed. It was out there, but no one had made a video about it, and people had posted shit about stuff, but no one had actually made a video, drew it up, and said, Beau, what is this? And then compared and contrasted to his public statements. If somebody else made a video or content comparing and contrasting his statements to the documents, then I would have just watched that. But as far as I know, it didn't exist. So you're saying I didn't do something. Yes, it did exist out there. That's true of a lot of shit. And then it gets surfaced again. And then it's actually synthesized into another actual coherent narrative of this is what he says. This is reality. He's not dealing with it. Come on, man.
Gentlemen, I think we've all laid our opinions on the table, I guess. Did you think you had anything further to talk about?
I think this is horrible behavior on the behalf of everyone who attacked me personally over this. Whether or not you like me is immaterial to like the facts at issue. And we should really be examining these details and ask yourself honestly, if it was somebody else, would you be acting in this way? And if the answer is no, you're doing something that is immoral, you're doing something that is gross. And I'm a human being just like the rest of you. I'm trying my best to be fair to Beau. I came and talked to James. I came to and talked to all these people because I want to hear their perspectives. And for a lot of them, it seems very focused on, Beau's value as a content creator, whether I'm getting clicks, and very little on the substance of what I'm talking about, which
It's
is
because you're
profit from
pushing a boulder uphill that multiple people have pushed up the same hill time and time again for the last 11 years.
Like who?
Just that it was news to you. For example, the 2+ year old Reddit thread where your people got 80% of that content because a bunch of people on Reddit 2.5 years ago, the last time this came up, did all that work already.
Okay,
you're making it sound like this. You're like, I'm shocked. I didn't know about any of it.
The people that I really took effort from was the people that I really stole their effort was the Southern Poverty Law Center, citing your friend as textbook case of J1 visa abuse, and the University of Florida, Florida State, saying that it should have been charged as human trafficking. Those are the people that I took the most from, not the Reddit thread.
Okay.
So I absolutely took sources. They were direct sources, transcripts of the testimony of the witness who explained how she was exploited, which was, that had a lot of an emotional impact on me. It doesn't seem like it did have any impact on you. It doesn't seem like you care much.
Oh, wow. That's another really great opinion you're going to peddle to smear somebody. But please go ahead.
Well, you haven't talked about the victims here. You've talked about my clicks 10 fucking times, but not the victims of this. You pretended like he was some sort of martyr for, quote, not testifying against the victims who were on temporary visas and returned back to their country anyway.
I was merely citing the fact that
you
he
just
was
made
the only one.
And it's not backed up by any fucking thing. Here's what happened. Beau refused to testify because that's his right to remain silent, and he has a right to not self-incriminate, and it didn't matter. He still lost and was convicted. That's what happened.
Appreciate you saying that that's what happened live. Appreciate that.
He didn't testify in his own defense, and he was convicted of alien smuggling, and the purpose of that was labor trafficking. That's the activity that he was engaged in, not refugees from Uzbekistan when he lied. So I think that's it.
All right. I don't think we're getting any more progress out of this convo. In good faith, gentlemen, do you want to use this opportunity to plug yourselves?
Everybody knows who. I don't need to plug myself.
Everybody knows who Mike is. Nobody knows who I am, and I think we're both good. I think we're both good with that.
Yeah. I don't. Lance. Listen.
Please.
I'm not trying to force you to have a reaction to this. I have a strong reaction to it because I find it gross. And I understand when people want to take more time and gather more evidence. I respect that. I don't respect running to Beau's defense and pretending like he did nothing wrong or that he did something good. Or that, quote, I'm a bootlicker for believing the cops as opposed to believing not NGOs and believing the women, the 19-year-old women who were trafficked from Romania.
All right, gentlemen, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Can you do the thing, that thumbs up and comment and all those things that help us out in the algorithm that controls every aspect of our lives? Also, if you happen to have a Facebook account, can you delete it? Just delete it. You should probably delete your Facebook account because it's It's not a great company. But hey, if you can't do that for whatever reason, I understand. And could you also go to facebook.com/thesurftimes then and give us a little like and a follow. We're just trying to push back against the fact that people like Ben Shapiro happen to dominate the platform entirely. And when everyone asks why do older generations believe the things they believe, one of the problems is the majority of them on social media use Facebook. So to counter that, we're just going to be on there too now. Also, if you happen to have a union or a worker co-op or even a leftist project, podcast, website, Zoom, MySpace, it doesn't matter. We will advertise it for free on this channel. All you got to do is go to weareserfs.com and use the forms that we got there, weareserfs.com. Thanks, everybody.
To our glorious gods, Xander Corvus and I'm Rav, may you shower us with glory and smite our enemies. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we serve at your leisure, your grace. To our lords, Tofox, Bisexual Black Gamer, Jimothy K. Meeble Beeps Jr., Ryan Lubin, Trevor R., Jeffrey Lamb, Alexander Thaler, and Hans Josephine, we shall carry your banner high into the fields of battle. To our Knights of the Round Table, Timothy Hart, Trevor Janis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophagic, Saren 42, Chronic de Hemphog, Kale Kotka, The Great Pudini, Bone Jenny, Catherine, Radical Maniac, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, J. Fraser Cartwright, Thomas Barrington, Jimmy Bignuts, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chitoro, Ufalankius, Zach Christensen, Nicholas Marks, Yopi, Josh Mickelson, Melissa Murphy, Todd Buckingham, Todd Lajeunesse, Constance Joyce Lacheris. We lift our glasses of ale and we salute you.